Hi, Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and on this episode we're looking at the new box set from Cherryhead Records by Bedlam. Some of you will know about this band mainly because of the involvement of Cozy Powell, and that, to be honest, is basically all I knew. I have this album, which is the only album they made, and this is released on Chrysalis Records in 1973, and it's a great hard rock blues album from that period. And so when I saw this was coming out and there was going to be 6 discs, I was interested to see how they could expand what was a single album. And plus, I have to say, my kind of limited knowledge of the band from that period, there's a very extensive review on the Now Spinning Magazine website by Joe Geesin, who's one of our writers, and he ran the Cozy Powell website for a long time, so he knows a lot about the history of this band, and it's well worth reading that review. But before I go on, let's have a quick look inside the box. This is Bedlam, the anthology, and this is a substantial box, especially for a band that only released one album, 6 CDs. And this again shows how Grapefruit Records, in conjunction with Cherryhead, will take these chances to put literally everything together for a band that wasn't really a household name on any level, you could say. But it's a sturdy box. I'll come to the booklet last of all. And in the box is the first album, well, the only album, in fact, and that mirrors the exact copy of the vinyl album, which I have. The remix, same reverse cover, but slightly different front, so you know the difference. Then you've got Live in London, 1973. Live in Binghamton, New York, 1974. The tracks on the back. And then Live in Hamburg, 1970, as Big Bertha. So this box set goes through every evolution of the band becoming Bedlam and what happened afterwards. And then the anthology, 1968 to 1970, which is Idea Milk, the AIDS Gifford Band, Big Bertha, and of course Bedlam. And lots of tracks there as well, and all listed, I say, on the back. And the booklet is superb. You can tell, can't you? There's some, you just know with some booklets that this is going to be a proper story, and it is. Great photographs, great text. You know, it really goes through the whole history. It's well thought out. You know, the band and the people behind it have not been told, oh, by the way, you've only got 2 pages left, or no, you have to edit that down. I mean, maybe that happened, I don't know, but if they did, they managed to keep a lot of it in. It's really, really cool. You know, letters there from Chrysalis Records, lots of posters and clippings from the period, and you've got lots of information about the live discs as well. If the camera will just stay in focus while I do that. But again, lots to read, lots of background information, absolutely fantastic stuff. And then again, more details on the tracks from the last disc. So that is Bedlam, the anthology. So that's Bedlam, the anthology, on Grapefruit Records, an imprint for Cherryhead Records. And as you can see, that's an extensive box set for what was a band that technically released one single solo album. But as you'll see, if you go to the Now Spinning Magazine website, Joe talks at great length about all the different members of the bands and what they're involved in. And of course, Cozy Powell and obviously the Dave Ball and Denny Ball, the 2 brothers, who were involved with so many different aspects of what became Bedlam. It's a great story. So what are my thoughts? Again, as you know, my knowledge was this. And obviously for Joe, he's known and explored this band for a long time. I have to say, it was a revelation for me in a way. One thing I will say straight away is the remixed version of the album is the only one I'll probably play going forwards. It just sounds fantastic. It's remixed by Denny Ball, the bass player, and it just sounds amazing. And as Joe says in the review, it's worth the admission price alone, and it is in a way. It sounds totally different. However, for me, I have to say, it's the live stuff that really took me by surprise. I thought this was going to be, I don't know why, I just thought it was going to be probably bootleg quality recordings that have been held by, one of the musicians for a long time, and they've had a chance to put them out on CD, etc. They have been out before, but they're very hard to find now. But I found this to be a revelation, because this is a classic example of where the band never captured their live sound. The album itself is typical of its time, where bands were probably thinking, well, we've already done a hard rock number, so the next one needs to be a bit softer. Maybe we need something after that that's a bit different than the first two. Whereas now bands would think, well, we're a rock band, so we're going to do an album full of rock songs. I think there's a feeling then that they have to be more diverse than perhaps they needed to be. And I'm saying that because when you listen to Live in London 1973, for example, it's just absolutely amazing. It really is. Dave Ball on guitar, who sadly passed away quite recently, age of 65, is an absolutely tremendous player. And you just feel when you listen to this, and well, any of them really, Bedlam from 1974 in New York, which I'll touch on in a moment. Vocalist of this band, Frank Ailey, formerly of The Truth, was such a character. I've not seen any videos, but I could just imagine he's such kind of a Cockney kind of geezer. There's a song, it's almost like a rap, like an introduction called Mother-in-Law before he goes into the track The Fall, and it's just amazing. It'd be very, very Steve Marriott in his approach, in his style. There's loads of energy. The songs are extended. Some of them are over 20 minutes long, but the guitar playing is just superb. In fact, even Denny Ball's bass playing, this bass solos, obviously there's a drum solo, it's Cozy Powell, but the recording is really exciting. It's a great sounding album, and I just think that if they'd been given the chance to be seen back then, of course, pre-internet, it depends on who you support, word of mouth, how hard that was, but they must have felt when they were playing live and putting out concerts like that, and they went to New York, to say this one here, but it's a great light-hearted interview where they sound really confident and sure of themselves. The introduction to the songs is fantastic. The recording on here is fantastic, and the version on this particular disc, all these discs are packed with music, is absolutely fantastic. Big Bertha is the kind of like preliminary or first wave of before they became Bedlam, from Hamburg 1970. That's when they were a trio, and the sound quality is probably half a notch down from these two, but it's still fantastic. And then the last disc, which basically pulls together everything of this group of musicians as they found their feet in who they were going to be, from Ideal Milk, and then the Ace Gifford Band, and then Big Bertha featuring Ace Gifford, and then before they became Bedlam. Everything's been pulled together here. I'd say only the Ideal Milk recordings sound a little bit demo-ish, a little bit distortion around them, but everything else sounds immaculate. So if you're a Cozy Powell fan, this is essential. And if you're a fan of early 70s rock music, there's plenty to explore here. There's an element of, I'm thinking of this as in the moment now, there's a bit of trapeze, a bit of Mel Galley in the guitar playing, I guess, because of the way that Dave Ball stretches out on some of the songs. But his guitar is really meaty, Les Paul, great improvisation. And I said earlier they were like a rock blues band, so when I say that, a lot of us quite naturally will think that it's kind of based around a 12-bar blues, whatever. It isn't. This is more intricate and more proggy in a way, but not long songs. Well, they are live, but they're very interesting, and there's a real sense of the telepathy between the musicians on stage, how they kind of bounced ideas off each other. But I've got to say that Frank on his vocals is such a great front man, and I can't see him. This is just listening. They really do sound like a great band. So it makes it, why Chrysalis must have thought, now we're not going to take up the option of album number 2. And of course, Cozy Powell then was taken away by Mickey Mouse to do his more pop oriented stuff, and Frank went with him and became the singer with the Cozy Powell band, and the rest of them obviously were horrified, and that was it. And this was their moment, and I think it's great that Denny has gone back, who owns all these recordings, and Cherry Red have had the confidence to put this out. 6 discs, as you saw, a great extensive booklet, and you're in for a great treat when the font size is something where, if you're visually challenged, you need to put your glasses on. But it's just packed full of information. It really, really is. But it's a great box set. Sounds great, but the remix makes this worthwhile. And for me, especially there's 3 live albums, live discs. The first 2, 73 and 74, are just absolutely stunning. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here, thank you for subscribing and ringing that little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you for becoming patrons and joining us on the Facebook group as well. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Stay safe, keep spinning those discs, and I shall see you very, very soon.